Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, I'm doing my morning walk routine as far as that goes, and so I managed to, you know, go into a different direction here, and so it's like the opposite direction about a couple of weeks ago, where I was in another part of a different park. So I'm basically over here at this other park, you know, and it's near my old high school as far as that goes. So, anyways, it doesn't seem like it's been like 25 years since I've graduated from my old high school, you know, but, you know, the last time I was over here doing a vlog like this was probably about like 13 years ago, you know, where I was, you know, going through some stuff at that point, you know, when it came to breaking up with Drew at that point, you know. But, I mean, I did the right thing there by breaking up with him because I didn't really want to be a side piece and of that sort. And sure, I gone full psycho on him, but is going full psycho on some guy like that was just a way for me to get him out of my life, you know, and you know, as far as that goes. But I realize in this sense, you know, that I can communicate better with people through, you know, the 5D rather than through the 3D of that sort. Because in this sense, like, they can't block me, they can't do anything of that sort, you know. It's like I get my point across, you know, regardless of that sort, because it may take a while for them to kind of process all of it, but I get my point across, you know, in that sense. But, you know, and when it comes to like manifesting your specific person and all that, it takes time, you know. And, you know, it's like how there's different ways to get to a certain place like this. And for some people, it's like the quickest way is the car, but then there's also taking that little bike trail that's to my left, you know, and the streets to my right, you know. And there are different people that use different modes of transportation on that bike trail. There are people that are just biking, there are people that are walking, there are people that are using, like, you know, their motorbikes, motor scooters, or something like that on the bike trail of that sort. Just as much as there would be people that would be using, you know, instead of just a car on the road, they would use a truck or they would use a motorcycle, for that matter. And it's just like how these geese, they're basically flying to where they are. But the reason I keep saying that there is that that's just what it is when it comes to manifesting, you know, going from point A to point B. But it's really about the feeling, you know, feels over reals, you know. Because in that sense, you know, your subconscious mind can't really distinguish reality from from other things at that point. So, considering like my manifestation journey when it comes to like J2 for that matter, is that it isn't really as complicated as it seems, when you're manifesting your specific person sometimes. And there is something like the most simplest, techniques could be the most effective of that sort, instead of like having to do certain rituals, having to do this sort of thing, having to do that, but it's really more about how long it takes for you to feel that you have it. And in the sense there, it's really about the dominant state, and that is just basically like 51% of what your dominant state is. That's what's going to manifest, when it comes to your specific person or whatnot. And you can basically manifest anybody if you want. It doesn't matter if they don't want you or whatever it is. You can manifest them. It's all about feeling like you have them, because when you feel like you have them, when you feel like you have that person and all that, and it reflects on that reality of that sort. And once you no longer put them on a pedestal, and no longer do that, because it's one of those little things. It's like what I had said, or what certain people say, is like at the end of the day, all the game pieces, the cards and all that get put away, and it's like when it came to like high school of that sort, it's like at the end of the day, most of everybody's going to be leaving high school, and that's basically it, and they're off doing whatever their lives of that sort, and it's like they have the rest of their life to worry about, and we completely forget all about that. We have plenty of time to figure out what it is that we want. Is that time? I mean, unless if you're like on borrowed time, but then that's just another thing there. But it's like I have plenty of time to figure out which guy I want, as far as that goes. And any of these guys are going to still be here, as long as they're like living, for that matter, and I mean, when it came to like J2 at this point, all this that I was experiencing, in the past 6 months was resistance caused by me, by getting too close to him too soon, and now realizing that, that if I no longer desire him because I already have him, then I already have him. Because that's the whole thing. Once you like let go of your desires, or but in a way it's actually like aligning with your desire that you already have it. That's really what it is. And you don't really have to settle for breadcrumbs, settle for continental behavior and all of this. That was just basically poor self-concept of that sort. But once you raise your self-concept, once you feel like you're the motherfucking king or queen of the universe, and nobody can really stop you, when you have this endless supply of confidence and of that sort, that's where people respond to that sort of thing. Because there are people that you know, who could be not necessarily physically attractive, but still get the guy, still get the girl, you know, because they have that confidence. You know, you know what I mean? And there are people who are like physically attractive that don't have all the confidence and don't get, you know, the guy or the girl or whatever it was, because really it's confidence. You know, you know what I mean? And I remember at one point, I think when I was watching, you know, True Life way back in the day, it was back in the 90s when they had one of those documentaries on MTV, and then there were these two guys that were brothers, so they got all the days, but then it's like the problem was, it's like, you know, they done all of this sort of stuff to make themselves, you know, look hot for the ladies and all of that, and then they're like, you know, but then I kind of realized, it's like, you know, what do they have to do to like put all of that effort into that? You know what I mean? And you know, there are certain women that can see past that sort of facade and realize, like, oh, they're just douches or whatever it is. And there was this guy that didn't really do that much to prepare or anything, but he didn't get all the dates or whatever it is. But then he had more of a nicer personality of that sort, and but I think it's like, if he was just confident in himself and said that this is me, deal with it, you know, I don't have to run around and you know, put this sort of facade, you know, just so I can get the ladies or something like that. You know, that was like one of the things here. I mean, for me, it's like, there are instances where I can get a guy to sleep with me just like that, you know, and there are times where it takes a while, you know, but it was just something like, you know, I was complaining that maybe it would be like a bit too easy for me to get them and all, instead of like, and then where's the fun in that if there was like a bit of a challenge and all. But and I look at it this way, this was a challenge for me to get with, you know, J2 of that sort, and I feel like that he knows me well enough that I'm still going to be around. I still want to be with him, you know, and whatever version of him that becomes dominant, you know, a version of him where he's, you know, where he is confident in himself, and like he can, you know, move on from his grief, you know, not, and as far as like, you know, not having his late husband and then the roommate, you know, it's sad that they're not here anymore, and as far as that goes. And the whole thing there was like, you know, I was also trying to let him know that I also deal with grief, and that no one ever goes through life without dealing with a certain grief, you know, as far as losing a loved one and all that. You know, I still miss my dad. I still miss my uncle. And I mean, I even miss people who, you know, that made a small impact on my life. You know, that one guy, Lee, he went to my old high school, and he was one of the people that brought me under his wing as far as that goes, and didn't care I was in special ed and all that, and And a lot of the kids in the neighborhood didn't really care that I was in special ed at the time in middle school, you know, as far as that goes. And Lee died in an auto accident, and this was just about like a couple months after he graduated, and that was back around like 98. And so, as anybody that ever really like that gone to my old high school, wondering like why there's an award that's named after him, because he was a star athlete, you know, and went to, I mean, did all like the AP classes, did all these other, played in the band and all of that, and had his whole life ahead of him, and it was just tragically taken from him, you know. And then of course there's like other people that I miss, you know, but that's just one example, you know. You know what I mean? So, considering all of that, because one of the biggest problems there was like, you know, I was probably trying too hard to get, and, you know, for that matter, when it's like, I forget what they called it, was like the law of least resistance. And so when you kind of let go of all of it, and then everything starts to flow more naturally once you kind of not to put all that effort into doing something or whatever it is, and when it requires the least resistance, you know. But it was one of those things, you know, when I was younger, you know, that there are certain people that wanted me to take life more seriously and blah 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 blah, you know, that sort of stuff. When that just causes me to go into an anxiety spiral and all that, when you know, all that time that I had wasted on, you know, getting, you know, whatever it is that I wanted to get, it wouldn't take so long there to whatchamacallit, it wouldn't take so long there, you know what I mean? So I completely forgot about all this, because while I was walking and I almost tripped, and I think I sprained my ankle here. So I don't know if it's swollen or not. So I'm gonna have to be careful on it, you know, once I'm ready to head back to the house. So anyways, I guess that's probably it. So talk to you guys later.